Commander Jake Morrison stood at the viewing window of New Terra Station, watching the stars shine against the black of space. At 34 years old, he had spent most of his adult life among those stars, but today felt different. Today, something was about to change everything he thought he knew about his past. The message had arrived 3 days ago through official channels. The Zephyrian Empire, the most powerful alien alliance in known space, had requested a meeting. Not with Earth's leaders or the Secretary of Alien Affairs, but specifically with Jake. He still could not understand why. "Commander Morrison, Admiral Sullivan wants to see you," said Lieutenant Ben Carter, Jake's communications officer. The young man looked nervous. Everyone on the station had been talking about the strange request from the aliens. Jake made his way through the corridors of New Terra Station to Admiral Kate Sullivan's office. The station was humanity's main diplomatic outpost, positioned at the edge of human space where it could serve as a meeting point with alien civilizations. Jake had called this place home for the past 5 years. Admiral Sullivan was a tough woman, in her 50s, who had helped establish humanity's first contact protocols with alien species. She looked up from her desk as Jake entered, her face showing the same confusion that had been bothering everyone since the message arrived. "Jake, sit down. We need to talk about this Zephyrian request," she said, pointing to a chair across from her desk. "In 23 years of dealing with aliens, I have never seen anything like this. They want you specifically, and they mentioned your childhood on Haven Ridge. How could they possibly know about that?" Jake shook his head. Haven Ridge was a small farming colony where he had grown up before humanity even knew aliens existed. It was just a quiet place where families grew crops and raised children under Earth's government. "I have no idea, Admiral. I was just a kid there. Nothing special ever happened." "The Zephyrians don't do anything without reason," Admiral Sullivan continued. "They are the oldest and most advanced civilization we know. Their queen has ruled for over 200 years, and she has never requested a direct meeting with any human before. This breaks every protocol we have established." Jake thought about his childhood on Haven Ridge. It had been a simple life. His parents ran a small farm, and he had spent his days helping with crops and playing with other children in the colony. The only unusual thing he could remember was his friendship with a strange girl named Luna. Luna had been different from the other children. She had silver eyes that seemed to hold secrets, and she always talked about the stars like she had been there. The other kids thought she was weird, but Jake had liked her. She seemed to understand things that no child should know. He remembered the day she left. Her family had packed up suddenly and moved away without saying goodbye to anyone. Jake had been sad for weeks. Before she left, they had made a promise under the old oak tree behind his family's farm. If they ever found each other among the stars, they would recognize each other by saying a special phrase about counting the moons of home. "Admiral, there was this girl when I was a kid," Jake said slowly. "Her name was Luna. She was different, always talking about space and stars. But she moved away when we were 12. I haven't thought about her in years." Admiral Sullivan raised an eyebrow. "A girl named Luna? That is interesting. The Zephyrian queen's name is Lirelei, which their language experts tell us means something, like keeper of promises. Could be a coincidence." Jake felt a strange chill run down his spine. Luna had always kept her promises, even the small ones. She had promised to show him a shooting star on his birthday, and one had appeared exactly when she said it would. She had promised to help him find his lost pet rabbit, and she had led him straight to it even though they had searched for hours. "When do I leave?" Jake asked. "Tomorrow. You will take the UES Horizon with a full diplomatic team. Commander Lisa. Park will be your second in command, and Dr. Alex Turner will join you as our xenobiology expert. The Zephyrians have provided coordinates for a meeting point in deep space. Admiral Sullivan stood up and walked to her window. Jake, I want you to be very careful. The Zephyrians are peaceful, but they are also powerful beyond our understanding. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. If they wanted to hurt humanity, we could not stop them. The fact that they know about your childhood means they have been watching us longer than we thought. That evening, Jake packed his personal belongings in his quarters. He included a small photo of himself as a child on Haven Ridge. In the picture, he was standing next to a girl with silver eyes and a strange smile. He had kept the photo all these years without really knowing why. As he prepared for sleep, Jake thought about Luna and their childhood promise. He had always assumed she was just an imaginative child, maybe dealing with problems at home. The idea that she might be connected to an alien civilization seemed impossible. But the more he thought about it, the more things made sense. Luna had known things about space that no human child should know. She had talked about other worlds like she had visited them. She had silver eyes that seemed to change color in different light, just like the descriptions of Zephyrian features in human databases. Jake looked out his quarters window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Zephyrian queen was waiting to meet him. If Luna and Queen Lyralee were the same person, then his childhood friend had become the ruler of an alien empire. The thought seemed crazy, but it also felt right somehow. Tomorrow, he would travel into Zephyrian space and learn the truth. Tomorrow, he might discover that a promise made under an oak tree 22 years ago was about to change the future of humanity. As he fell asleep, Jake whispered the old phrase they had agreed upon. I have counted the moons of home, and they number the days until we meet again. He had no idea that those words would soon echo through the throne room of an alien queen. The UES Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the coordinates provided by the Zephyrians. Jake stood on the bridge, staring at the massive alien ship that waited for them in the darkness of space. The Zephyrian royal flagship Stellaris was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like a crystal palace floating among the stars, with flowing lines and surfaces that seemed to glow with their own inner light. My God, whispered Dr. Alex Turner, the team's xenobiology expert. The ship must be at least 10 kilometers long. Our entire fleet could fit inside it. Commander Lisa Park, Jake's second-in-command, checked her instruments. They are sending a docking request, sir. Their bay can accommodate our entire ship. Jake nodded. Take us in, Lisa. Let's go meet the Queen of the Zephyrians. The Horizon moved slowly into the alien ship's docking bay. Through the viewing windows, Jake could see Zephyrian workers moving with graceful, flowing motions. They were tall and elegant, with skin that seemed to change color slightly as they moved. Their faces were beautiful in an otherworldly way, with large eyes and features that seemed almost too perfect to be real. Remember, Jake told his team as they prepared to leave their ship, we are representing all of humanity today. Stay calm, follow protocol, and let me do the talking. But even as he said the words, Jake felt his heart racing. If his suspicions were correct, he was about to meet his childhood friend who had somehow become the ruler of an alien empire. The idea still seemed impossible, but the feeling in his chest told him it was true. The docking bay filled with sweet-smelling air as the doors opened. A group of Zephyrian officials waited to greet them, led by a tall figure in flowing robes. When the figure spoke, the voice was melodious and strange. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Chancellor Veltar, advisor to Queen Lorelei. She awaits you in the throne room. Please, follow me." Jake and his team walked through corridors that seemed to be made of living crystal. The walls pulsed gently with soft light, and the floor felt warm beneath their feet. Everything was beautiful and alien, but also somehow familiar to Jake. It reminded him of the way Luna used to describe the palaces in her made-up stories. The Queen specifically requested that Commander Morrison come alone for the initial meeting, Chancellor Veltar explained as they walked. "Your companions will be given quarters and shown our cultural displays." Jake looked at Lisa, who nodded. They had expected this possibility. "I'll be fine," he told her. "If I'm not back in 2 hours, follow emergency protocols." The throne room was vast and filled with floating crystal displays that showed star maps and alien writing. The ceiling seemed to stretch up forever, and soft music played from hidden sources. At the far end of the room sat a throne that looked like it had been carved from a single massive diamond. Her Majesty, Queen Lorelei of the Zephyrian Empire, announced Chancellor Veltar before bowing and leaving Jake alone in the enormous room. Jake waited, his heart pounding. Footsteps echoed from behind the throne, light and graceful. Then she appeared, and Jake's breath caught in his throat. Queen. Lorelei was tall and beautiful like all Zephyrians, but her eyes were unmistakably familiar. They were silver, with depths that seemed to hold the light of distant stars. Her hair was long and white, and when she smiled, Jake saw the same expression he remembered from 22 years ago. She walked toward him slowly, ignoring all diplomatic protocol. When she was close enough to touch, she stopped and looked directly into his eyes. "I have counted the moons of home," she said softly, "and they number the days until we meet again." Jake felt the world spin around him. It was Luna. His childhood friend Luna was the queen of the Zephyrian Empire. "Luna," he whispered, "how is this possible?" She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the 12-year-old girl he had known on Haven Ridge. "I told you I came from the stars, Jake. You were the only one who believed me. But you were just a child. We were both children. How can you be an alien queen?" Luna gestured for him to sit on a bench near her throne. "I was part of an advanced scout mission. The Zephyrian High Council had been watching humanity for decades before we made official contact. They wanted to understand your species, so they sent young scouts to live among human children and learn about your culture." Jake shook his head, trying to understand. "You were spying on us?" "At first, yes," Luna admitted. "But I was not supposed to form attachments. I was not supposed to care about humans as individuals. Yet I became your friend, and through you, I learned what makes humanity special." She stood and walked to one of the floating displays, which showed images of Earth and human colonies. "When I returned to my people, I told them what I had learned. Humans are not just another species to be cataloged or controlled. You have something unique: creativity, adaptability, hope in the face of impossible odds." "The first contact protocols," Jake said, understanding beginning to dawn. "You influenced them?" "The High Council originally planned a more aggressive approach," Luna explained. Many Zephyrians believed humans were too dangerous because of your wars and the way you damaged your own planet. They wanted to make contact from a position of overwhelming strength, perhaps even to control human expansion into space. Jake felt cold. You stopped them? I convinced them to try peaceful contact first. I told them about human friendship, about loyalty, about the promises we keep even when everything changes. I used our friendship as an example of what was possible between our species. Luna returned to sit beside him. But Jake, I must tell you the truth about why I asked you to come here. There is still a faction among my people who believe humans are too dangerous to remain free. They are led by General Vextar, and they grow stronger every day. What do they want? To invade Earth and place humanity under Zephyrian control before you become too powerful to stop? Luna said quietly. They point to human conflicts and say it proves your species cannot be trusted with advanced technology. Jake stood up, his mind racing. And you? What do you believe? Luna's silver eyes met his. I believe in the promise we made under the oak tree. I believe in the boy who shared his lunch with a strange girl and never asked why she knew so much about stars. I believe humanity has something to offer the galaxy that no other species possesses. But your position is threatened. Yes, I became queen when my mentor died unexpectedly. Many view me as too young and too sympathetic to lesser species. General Vextar has been gathering support by claiming I am compromised by my emotional attachment to humans. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. What do you need from me? Luna stood and walked to a star map showing both human and Zephyrian space. I need humanity to prove their worth to the High Council, not through military might. You could never match our technology, but by demonstrating the unique value of human civilization. How? I don't know yet, Luna admitted. But I believe that together we can find a way. That is why I kept our promise, Jake. That is why I maneuvered events so we could meet again. I need my childhood friend to help me save both our species. Jake looked at the star map, seeing human colonies scattered like tiny lights against the vast Zephyrian empire. If we fail? Luna's expression grew sad. Then General Vextar will have the authorization he needs to subjugate humanity. Your people will live, but they will never be free to reach their full potential. Jake thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had no idea their future hung in the balance. Then he thought about the girl who had kept a promise for 22 years and risen to become a queen. Then we won't fail, he said firmly. We kept our promise to find each other among the stars. Now let's keep the promise to protect both our peoples. Luna smiled, and for the first time since entering the throne room, she looked truly hopeful. Over the next 3 days, Jake learned the truth about Zephyrian politics and the dangerous situation Luna faced as their queen. They met in secret chambers deep within the Stellaris, away from the eyes and ears of those who might use their friendship against her. The succession laws of our people are ancient and complex, Luna explained, as they walked through a garden filled with plants from dozens of different worlds. When Queen Silandra died unexpectedly from a rare disease, the council had to choose her replacement quickly. By bloodline and by law, I was the rightful heir, but many thought I was too young. Jake watched Luna touch a flowering vine that glowed softly blue. Even in this peaceful place, he could see the stress in her silver eyes. How old are you really? By human years, I am 36. But Zephyrians live for centuries. To my people, I am still considered young and inexperienced. Many believe I am not ready to rule an empire that spans 12 star systems. But you became queen anyway. Luna nodded. Queen Silandra had been my mentor since I returned from Earth. She believed in peaceful cooperation with other species. In her final message to the High Council, she named me as her chosen successor and spoke of the need for new thinking in a changing galaxy. They sat on a bench overlooking a pool where alien fish swam in patterns that seemed too organized to be natural. Luna's expression grew darker as she continued her explanation. General Vextar opposed my coronation from the beginning. He leads what we call the Purity faction. Zephyrians who believe our species is superior to all others and should not lower ourselves by treating with primitive aliens. He has spent the last year gathering support by pointing to human conflicts and environmental damage as proof that your species is dangerous. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. He's planning to attack Earth. Not directly, not yet, Luna said. But he has been pushing for what he calls protective intervention. The idea is to take control of human space before humanity develops technology that could threaten Zephyrian interests. He frames it as preventing a future war rather than starting one. And the High Council supports this? Some do, Luna admitted. Others are undecided. The Council has 12 members representing the major Zephyrian worlds. I need 7 votes to maintain my policies of peaceful coexistence. Right now I have 4 supporters. Vextar has 4, and 4 are undecided. Jake stood and paced along the edge of the pool. What kind of evidence does Vextar use against humanity? Historical records of human wars, environmental destruction. On Earth, reports of conflicts in human colonies. He also has intelligence reports that make human expansion look threatening and aggressive. Intelligence reports? From where? Luna's expression became troubled. That is one of the things that worries me most. Some of the information about humanity that reaches the High Council has been altered. Reports of peaceful human activities are presented as military preparations. Trade missions are described as scouting for invasion routes. Jake stopped pacing. Someone is feeding false information to your government. I believe so, but I cannot prove it, and pointing fingers without evidence would make me look paranoid and weak. The next day, Jake met with Dr. Turner and Commander Park in quarters Luna had provided for them. The rooms were beautiful but clearly monitored, so they spoke carefully about innocent topics while Jake used hand signals to communicate the real situation. The technology we have seen is incredible, Dr. Turner said aloud while Jake's hand spelled out, "War faction wants attack Earth." Their medical advances alone could save millions of human lives. The cultural displays are fascinating too, Lisa added, reading Jake's signals and responding with her own. What do we do? Jake's hands moved quickly. Need proof of false intelligence. Luna position weak. That evening, Luna introduced Jake to her inner circle of advisors. Chancellor Veltar was completely loyal, as was Science Advisor Merlin and Cultural Minister Thylara. But Jake could see the stress in all their faces. They were fighting a political battle they might lose. The situation grows worse each day, Chancellor Veltar explained when they were sure they were in a secure room. General Vextar has been meeting with the undecided council members privately. He shows them reports about human military buildup and claims that Queen Lyrelay is blind to the threat because of her emotional attachment to the species. Can we examine these reports? Jake asked. That would be difficult, Science Advisor, Merlin replied. Military intelligence is closely guarded. Even as queen, Luna cannot simply demand to see classified reports without providing justification that the council would accept. Jake thought about the problem. What if we could prove that the reports are false by showing the council the truth about human activities? How? Luna asked. Take council members to see human colonies directly. Let them observe our actual activities rather than relying on second-hand reports. Chancellor Veltar shook his head. General Vextar would never allow that. He would claim it was too dangerous, or that humans would hide their true activities during an official visit. Then we need to catch whoever is providing the false intelligence, Jake said. Luna looked thoughtful. There is something else troubling me. 3 months ago, we lost contact with a Zephyrian deep space monitoring station near the border between our territories. General Vextar claims it was destroyed by human raiders, but the evidence was convenient. Convenient how? The wreckage contained fragments that appeared to be from human weapons, but they were easy to find and identify, almost as if they were placed there deliberately. Jake felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. Luna, what if Vextar is not just using false intelligence? What if he is creating incidents to justify his position? You think he destroyed his own station? I think someone did, and I think they will create more incidents until the High Council has no choice but to authorize action against humanity. Over the following days, Jake and Luna's team worked to gather evidence of the conspiracy. They discovered that several of the intelligence reports about human activities had come from the same source, a monitoring station that claimed to have agents operating in human space. But when they traced the communications, they found irregularities that suggested the reports were being fabricated. The signal routing is wrong, Science Advisor Merlin explained as they studied communication logs. These reports claim to come from deep in human territory, but the signal path shows they originated much closer to Zephyrian space. Can we prove this to the High Council? Jake asked. Not without access to the classified communication protocols, Luna replied, and General Vextar controls military communications. Jake stared at the data displays, thinking. Luna, you said you need to prove humanity's worth to the Council. What if we could do that while also exposing Vextar's conspiracy? How? We need to force him to make a mistake. If he is creating false incidents, he will need to create a big one soon to justify immediate action. If we can be ready when he does, we might catch him in the act. Luna nodded slowly. It is dangerous. If we are wrong, or if we fail to gather proof, it will destroy my credibility completely. And if we do nothing, Vextar will eventually get the authorization he wants anyway, Jake pointed out. Luna walked to a window that showed the stars beyond the ship. When we were children, you always said we should face problems head-on rather than hide from them. I remember. Then we will set our trap and see what General Vextar is really planning. Luna turned back to Jake with determination in her silver eyes. But we must be very careful. If he suspects what we are doing, he could move against me. Directly. Jake nodded, understanding the risk they were taking. The next few days would determine whether Luna kept her throne and whether humanity remained free. Everything depended on catching a conspiracy that could start a war between two civilizations. As they made their plans, neither Jake nor Luna noticed the small surveillance device hidden among the alien plants in the garden where they had first discussed Vextar's plans. Their enemy was closer than they knew. The crisis came sooner than anyone expected. Jake was reviewing star charts with Luna when Chancellor Veltar burst into the secure conference room, his usually calm demeanor replaced by obvious panic. "Your Majesty, we have received an emergency. Transmission from the High Council. The colony ship Bright Dawn has been attacked near the Kepler 442 system. There are survivors, but the ship is badly damaged." Luna stood immediately. "What happened? Who attacked them?" "That is the problem," Chancellor Veltar replied grimly. "General Vextar claims the attackers were human pirates. He says he has wreckage that proves human weapons were used." Jake felt his blood turn cold. "That's impossible. No human ships operate in that sector. It's too far from our territory." "General Vextar has called an emergency session of the High Council," Chancellor Veltar continued. "He is demanding immediate military action against human shipping lanes as retaliation." Luna's silver eyes flashed with anger. "He is moving faster than we anticipated. This must be the false incident we expected him to create." "But we have no proof," Jake said. "And now he has survivors who will testify that humans attacked them." "Unless the survivors saw something different than what General Vextar claims," Luna said thoughtfully. She turned to Chancellor Veltar. "How long until the council meeting?" 6 hours, Your Majesty." Luna began pacing, her mind working quickly. "General Vextar will use this attack to push for immediate action. The undecided council members will feel pressure to respond strongly to protect Zephyrian citizens." Jake watched Luna think, remembering how she used to solve problems when they were children. She would consider every angle before acting, but once she decided on a course, she moved with complete confidence. "I have an idea," Luna said finally, "but it is risky, and it requires the council to trust both of us." 3 hours later, Jake stood before the Zephyrian High Council in their magnificent chamber aboard the Stellaris. The 12 council members sat in a circle, their skin shifting through various colors that indicated their emotional states. Most showed the deep purple of concern mixed with the red of anger. General Vextar stood in the center of the circle, presenting his evidence. He was tall even for a Zephyrian, with skin that remained a cold blue-white regardless of emotion. His voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "The evidence is clear," Vexatar declared, gesturing to a holographic display showing weapon fragments. "These are definitely human kinetic projectiles. The attack patterns match human military tactics. We cannot ignore this aggression." Councillor Rixtar, one of the undecided members, spoke up. "What do the survivors say they saw?" "They report ships of unknown design using weapons that created the damage we found. The attackers fled before our patrol vessels could respond." Jake noticed that Vextar's answer was carefully worded. The survivors had seen unknown ships, but somehow Vextar was certain they were human. Queen Luna rose from her throne. "Honored council members, I propose a different response to this crisis. Instead of immediate retaliation, I suggest we investigate the attack thoroughly using a joint human-Zephyrian team." Vextar's skin flashed red with anger. "Your Majesty, we cannot delay action while humans prepare for war. This attack proves they are already hostile. If humans are truly responsible, a proper investigation will prove it beyond doubt," Luna replied calmly. "And if they are not responsible, we will avoid starting a war based on false evidence." Counselor Thyron, one of Luna's supporters, leaned forward. "What kind of investigation do you propose, Your Majesty?" "I propose that Commander Morrison lead a mixed team to the attack site. If humans and Zephyrians can work together to solve this crisis, It will demonstrate whether cooperation between our species is possible. If they cannot work together, or if humans are indeed responsible, General Vextar will have the authorization he seeks. The council chamber fell silent as the members considered Luna's proposal. Jake could see that several were intrigued by the idea of testing human-Zephyrian cooperation directly. General Vextar spoke again, his voice tight with controlled anger. "This is a dangerous delay, Your Majesty. Every moment we wait gives humans time to prepare additional attacks." "Then we make the investigation urgent," Luna replied. "The team will leave immediately and report back within 3 days. Surely General Vextar is confident enough in his evidence to allow this brief delay." Jake realized Luna was putting Vextar in a difficult position. If he refused to allow the investigation, it would look like he was afraid of what they might find. After an hour of debate, the council voted. 7 members supported Luna's investigation plan, including 2 who had been undecided. Vextar's faction was forced to accept the decision, but Jake could see the general was not pleased. "Very well," Vextar said finally. "But I insist that one of my officers accompany this investigation team to ensure proper military analysis of the evidence." "Agreed," Luna said. "Colonel Zareth will represent military interests on the team." 2 hours later, Jake found himself aboard a fast Zephyrian scout ship heading toward the Kepler 442 system. His team included Commander Lisa, Park, Dr. Alex Turner, Science Advisor Merlin, and Colonel Zareth. The Zephyrian colonel was a career military officer who clearly shared General Vextar's views about human inferiority. "I want to make something clear. Human," Colonel Zareth said as they traveled. "I am here to gather evidence, not to play diplomatic games. If I find proof that your species attacked our colony ship, I will report it regardless of any political considerations." "That's exactly what I want you to do," Jake replied. "Find the truth whatever it is." The planet Kepler 442b was a world that both humans and Zephyrians had been surveying for possible colonization. It had good water and atmosphere, but it was far from both civilizations' main territories. When they arrived, they found the wreckage of the bright dawn scattered across the planet's surface. Dr. Turner examined the weapon fragments while Science Advisor Merlin studied the attack patterns. Jake and Lisa investigated the crash site, looking for clues about what had really happened. "These weapon fragments are strange," Dr. Turner reported after several hours of analysis. "They appear to be human-made, but the metal composition is wrong. It's too pure, like it was manufactured rather than recycled from salvaged materials like most human weapons. The attack pattern is also unusual," Science Advisor Merlin added. "The damage suggests the attackers knew exactly where to hit the Bright Dawn's engines and life support systems. That kind of knowledge would require detailed information about Zephyrian ship design." Colonel Zareth examined the evidence with growing confusion. "But General Vextar said the evidence clearly pointed to human raiders." "It points to someone who wanted us to think it was human raiders," Jake corrected, as they continued their investigation. Long-range sensors detected movement at the edge of the system. Several ships of unknown design were approaching rapidly. "Those are not human or Zephyrian vessels," Lisa reported, studying the sensor data. "The configuration is completely different from anything in our databases. The ships attacked without warning, using weapons that seemed to adapt to whatever defenses they encountered." Jake's team was forced to take shelter in the wreckage of the Bright Dawn as energy blasts and projectiles rained down around them. "What are these things?" Colonel Zareth shouted over the noise of the attack. "I don't know," Jake replied, "but I think we just found out who really attacked your colony ship." The creatures that emerged from the ships were unlike anything humans or Zephyrians had ever seen. They moved with mechanical precision but seemed to be biological rather than artificial. They consumed technology they defeated, literally eating pieces of the Bright Dawn's hull and weapons. Devourers, science advisor. Merlin whispered in horror. The old legends spoke of creatures like this, but we thought they were myths. Jake's team and their Zephyrian companions were forced to work together to survive. Human kinetic weapons proved more effective against the creatures than Zephyrian energy beams, while Zephyrian shields provided protection that human armor could not match. Colonel Zareth fought beside Jake, his opinion of humans changing as he watched them adapt quickly to the new threat. When Dr. Turner figured out how to modify Zephyrian weapons to work better against the creatures, the colonel began to understand what Luna had meant about human ingenuity. They learn from every encounter, Dr. Turner observed as they fought. Each attack wave is different from the last. They adapt faster than we can change our tactics. Then we need to end this quickly, Jake replied, formulating a plan. Colonel, can your ship's sensors detect the main Devourer vessel? Yes, but it is heavily shielded. Our weapons cannot penetrate it. What if we don't try to penetrate it? Jake asked. What if we make it come to us? Working together, the mixed team used the wreckage of the Bright Dawn as bait to draw the main Devourer ship into range. When it approached to consume the advanced Zephyrian technology, Jake's team detonated the ship's power core, destroying both vessels. The surviving Devourer creatures retreated, but not before Jake's team gathered crucial intelligence. Long range. Scans showed a massive fleet of Devourer ships heading toward both human and Zephyrian space. General Vextar was wrong about the threat we face, Colonel Zareth said. Jake's team returned to the Stellaris with evidence that changed everything. The High Council gathered in emergency session to hear their report. But General Vextar was ready with counter-arguments before they even began speaking. This alleged threat is clearly a distraction, Vextar declared, as Jake presented recordings of the Devourer attack. Humans led these creatures to our colony ship as part of their aggression against our people. Colonel Zareth stood up, his skin flashing the deep orange of conviction. General, I must respectfully disagree. I fought beside these humans against the Devourers. The creatures are unlike anything we have encountered, and they pose a threat to both our civilizations. Vextar's expression darkened. Colonel, you have clearly been influenced by human deception. These creatures appeared conveniently just as humans needed to prove their innocence. The evidence supports Colonel Zareth's report, science advisor, Merlin added, displaying the data they had gathered. The Devourers consume technology and learn from every encounter. Their fleet shows signs of having attacked multiple civilizations across this sector of the galaxy. But Jake could see that. Several council members remained unconvinced. The idea that humans had somehow created or controlled the attack still seemed more believable to them than the existence of a new alien threat. Queen Luna rose from her throne, and the chamber fell silent. Honored council members, I have spent years studying humanity through direct contact and observation. I have seen their capacity for both cooperation and conflict. What I witnessed in Colonel Zareth's report demonstrates something I have tried to explain to this council for months. She gestured to the holographic displays showing the battle against the Devourers. Humans do not respond to threats the way we do. Where we apply overwhelming force or superior technology, they adapt and improvise. Where we follow established protocols, they create new solutions. This is not weakness or chaos. It is a strength we do not possess. Counselor Rickstar leaned forward. Your Majesty, even if humans fought well against these creatures, it does not prove they did not bring the threat to our space in the first place. Jake stepped forward. Counselor, may I present additional evidence we discovered? With Luna's permission, Jake displayed communication logs that Dr. Turner had recovered from the wreckage. The data showed that the Bright Dawn had received a coded transmission just before the attack, directing the ship to change course to the exact location where the Devourers were waiting. The transmission came from within Zephyrian space, Jake explained. Someone with access to military communication. Codes deliberately sent your colony ship into an ambush. General Vextar's skin flashed red with anger. This proves nothing. Humans could have obtained our codes through espionage. Actually, it proves everything, Luna said quietly. She activated another display showing communication routing data that science advisor Merlin had analyzed. The same source that sent false intelligence reports about human activities also sent the transmission that led the Bright Dawn to its destruction. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs as the implications became clear. Someone within, the Zephyrian military, had been creating false evidence and arranging attacks to justify war with humanity. Vextar stood rigidly, his skin now the pale white of someone fighting for control. Your Majesty, these accusations are outrageous. You are allowing human manipulation to cloud your judgment. General Vexatar, Luna said with the full authority of her position, submit to a memory scan to prove your innocence of these charges. Memory. Scanning was a Zephyrian technology that could reveal truth from lies, but it was considered a serious violation of privacy. Refusing a direct order from the Queen to submit to scanning would be seen as an admission of guilt. Vexatar looked around the chamber, seeing that even his supporters were waiting for his response. I refuse to submit to this humiliation based on fabricated evidence. Then you are relieved of all duties pending a full investigation, Luna declared. Colonel Zareth placed General Vextar under arrest. But Vextar was not finished. As guards moved to detain him, he activated a hidden device that sent an emergency signal. Within minutes, alarms sounded throughout the ship as loyal soldiers from his faction attempted to seize control of the Stellaris. The Queen has been compromised by human influence, Vextar announced over the ship's communication system. I am taking command to protect the Zephyrian Empire from alien manipulation. Jake found himself in the middle of a civil war aboard an alien spaceship. Luna's loyal guards fought against Vextar's followers in the corridors while the High Council remained trapped in their chamber. We need to reach the command center, Luna told Jake as they took shelter behind overturned furniture. Vexatar cannot complete his coup without control of the ship's main systems. Jake, Lisa, and Dr. Turner fought alongside Luna's guards as they made their way through the ship. Human weapons proved effective against Zephyrian armor, while Zephyrian shields protected the humans from energy weapons. In the command center, they found Vextar trying to override Luna's command codes. You are too late, he declared when they entered. I have already sent orders to the Zephyrian fleet to begin operations against human space. Operations that will fail when the real threat arrives, Luna replied. The Devourer fleet will reach both our territories within days. By dividing our forces to fight each other, you have made us both vulnerable. Jake stepped forward, an idea forming in his mind. Vextar, you said you wanted to protect the Zephyrian Empire. The Devourers will destroy everything you claim to care about. Humans brought this threat to our space, Vextar insisted, but Jake could hear doubt in his voice. Even if that were true, which it isn't, the threat exists now. Jake continued. You have a choice. Continue this coup and let both our civilizations fall to the Devourers, or help us unite against the real enemy. For a moment, Vexitar hesitated. Then long-range sensors detected the approaching Devourer fleet, massive and unstoppable. The displays showed hundreds of ships that seemed to be alive rather than built. My God, whispered one of Vextar's officers. There are so many of them. Colonel Zareth entered the command center with additional guards who had remained loyal to Luna. General, our people need us to work together, not fight each other. Vextar looked at the sensor displays, then at Luna, then at Jake. Slowly, his rigid posture relaxed. If I stand down, what guarantee do I have that humans will not betray us when the crisis passes? Jake walked closer to the general, removing his sidearm and placing it on the floor. The same guarantee my friend Luna had when she kept a promise for 22 years. Some things are more important than fear. Luna approached as well. General, I am not asking you to trust humans because they are perfect. I am asking you to trust them because they are necessary. Together, we might survive this threat. Apart, we will certainly fall. Vextar stared at the Devourer fleet for a long moment, then slowly deactivated his override codes. I will stand down, but if humans prove unworthy of this trust, the responsibility will be yours, Your Majesty. The next several hours were a blur of activity as Luna coordinated the combined defense of both civilizations. Human and Zephyrian fleets moved to intercept the Devourer invasion, sharing technology and tactical information for the first time. Jake found himself appointed as the first human ambassador to the Zephyrian Empire, a position that would have been unthinkable days earlier. The High Council, impressed by the human performance against the Devourers and the successful resolution of Vextar's coup, voted unanimously to establish a formal alliance. The Devourers will test this alliance severely, Luna warned as they watched the combined fleets prepare for battle. But if we survive, it will prove that cooperation between our species is not just possible, but essential. 3 days later, Jake stood with Luna on the observation deck of the Stellaris, watching human and Zephyrian ships fight side by side against the Devourer invasion. The battle was fierce, but the combined tactics of both civilizations were proving effective. Do you think we will win? Luna asked. I think we will do what humans always do when faced with impossible odds, Jake replied. We will adapt. We will learn, and we will find a way to survive. Luna smiled, the same smile he remembered from their childhood. I chose my royal name carefully, Jake. Lirelai means keeper of promises in our ancient language. You kept our promise, Jake said. Both of them. Which promises? To recognize each other among the stars, and to count the moons of home together. Luna took his hand as they watched their combined fleets push back the Devourer attack. There is one more promise I want to make. What's that? That when this war is over, we will go back to Haven Ridge and sit under that old oak tree again. I want to see the place where 2 children changed the fate of the galaxy. Jake squeezed her hand. It's a promise. As the Devourer fleet began to retreat, Jake thought about the strange path that had led from a childhood friendship to this moment. Luna had kept her word for 22 years, becoming a queen and protecting both their peoples. Now it was time for humanity and the Zephyrians to keep their promise to each other. The war against the Devourers would continue, but they would face it together. And somewhere on a small farming colony called Haven Ridge, 6 months after the Devourer War ended, Jake stood in the reconstructed gardens of New Terra Station, watching human and Zephyrian children play together for the first time in galactic history. The sight still amazed him, even though he had helped make it possible. The war against the Devourers had lasted 3 brutal months. The combined fleets of humanity and the Zephyrian Empire had finally defeated the alien threat, but not without cost. Dozens of worlds had been damaged, millions of lives had been lost, and both civilizations had learned hard lessons about the dangers that existed in the galaxy. "Ambassador Morrison, the Council is ready for you," said his new assistant, Lieutenant Ben Hayes. The young man was one of the first humans to receive training in Zephyrian diplomatic protocols, and he spoke their language almost fluently. Jake nodded and made his way to the conference room where representatives from both governments met weekly to discuss alliance business. The Human-Zephyrian Alliance had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined when it was first formed during the crisis. In the conference room, Jake took his seat next to General Kate Sullivan, who had been promoted to head of Human Alliance Affairs. Across from them sat Chancellor Veltar and Science Advisor Merlin, representing Queen Luna's government. At the head of the table, displayed on a large screen, was Luna herself, calling in from the Zephyrian capital world. "Good morning, everyone." Luna's voice came through the translators clearly. "I have excellent news to report. The joint colony project on Kepler 442b is ahead of schedule." Jake smiled. The planet where they had first encountered the Devourers was now becoming the first truly integrated human Zephyrian settlement. Families from both species were working together to build a new kind of civilization. "The agricultural experiments are particularly successful," Science Advisor Merlin added. "Human farming techniques combined with Zephyrian biotechnology have increased crop yields by 300%. We may have solved food shortage problems for both our species." General Sullivan leaned forward. "What about the defense preparations? We cannot forget that there might be more threats like the Devourers out there." "The early warning network is almost complete," Chancellor Veltar replied. "Human sensor technology and Zephyrian long-range communications have created a detection system that covers both our territories. We will have months of advance warning if any hostile force approaches." Jake reviewed his notes. "I have updates from the cultural exchange programs. We now have human students studying on 12 Zephyrian worlds, and Zephyrian youth are attending universities on 15 human colonies. The language barrier is disappearing faster than we expected." "There have been some interesting developments," Luna said, and Jake could hear the amusement in her voice. "Several human Zephyrian romantic relationships have formed. Our scientists are studying whether the species are compatible for long-term partnerships." General Sullivan raised an eyebrow. "Is that even biologically possible?" "We are still researching," Science Advisor Merlin replied diplomatically. "But the emotional bonds are clearly real and strong." After the formal meeting ended, Jake remained in the conference room for a private conversation with Luna. This had become their routine, a chance to discuss matters that required more discretion. "How is the political situation on your end?" Jake asked when they were alone. Luna's expression became more serious. "General Vextar has completed his rehabilitation program. The memory scans confirmed that he genuinely believed he was protecting our people, even though his methods were wrong. I am considering returning him to limited duty. Is that wise? He did try to overthrow your government. He also fought bravely against the Devourers once he understood the real threat, Luna replied. Many of my people respect him, and his opposition to the Alliance has softened considerably. Sometimes former enemies make the most valuable allies. Jake nodded, understanding Luna's political wisdom. What about the outer territories? Are they accepting the Alliance? Most are, but there are still some holdouts. The frontier worlds, on both sides, worry that cooperation will mean losing their independence. We need to show them the benefits, not just impose the Alliance from above. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. Lieutenant Hayes burst into the room with a tablet displaying sensor data. Ambassador, Your Majesty, we are receiving a transmission from unknown aliens. They are not Devourers, but they are definitely not human or Zephyrian either. Jake and Luna exchanged glances. They had always known this day would come. The galaxy was vast, and the Devourer War had probably attracted attention from other civilizations. Put the transmission through, Luna ordered. The screen filled with the image of a creature unlike anything they had seen before. It had multiple eyes arranged in a pattern across its head, and its skin seemed to shift between different textures. When it spoke, the universal translator struggled to make sense of its language. Greetings, organic beings of this sector. I am Trade Coordinator Zyle Noth of the Merchant Consortium. We have observed your recent conflict and are impressed by your cooperation. We come seeking trade agreements and cultural exchange. Jake felt relief wash over him. After the Devourers, the idea of meeting peaceful aliens seemed almost too good to be true. We welcome contact with your people, Luna replied diplomatically. However, we will need time to prepare proper reception protocols. Of course. We understand the importance of careful first contact procedures. We have been monitoring your communications and have learned your languages. May we suggest a neutral meeting location? Over the following days, Jake found himself coordinating humanity's first contact with a third alien species. The Merchant Consortium turned out to be a loose alliance of traders from dozens of different worlds, all focused on peaceful commerce rather than conquest. This changes everything, General Sullivan observed during a planning meeting. If there are peaceful trading civilizations out there, it means the galaxy is not as dangerous as we feared after the Devourer attack. It also means we need to be prepared for more contacts, Jake replied. The Human-Zephyrian Alliance is going to become a model for how different species can work together. Luna arrived at New Terra Station 3 days later for the first meeting with the Merchant Consortium. It was the first time she had visited human space, and Jake enjoyed showing her around the station. Your people build things differently than we do, Luna observed as they walked through the commercial districts. Everything is more practical. Less beautiful, perhaps, but more efficient. We have learned to make do with limited resources, Jake explained. But working with your people is teaching us that beauty and efficiency can go together. They stopped at an observation lounge where they could see the Merchant Consortium ships arriving. The alien vessels were colorful and oddly shaped, clearly designed by minds very different from human or Zephyrian thinking. Jake, do you ever think about what would have happened if we had never met as children? Luna asked. Our peoples would probably be at war right now, Jake replied honestly, and the Devourers might have destroyed both our civilizations. One friendship changed the fate of the galaxy, Luna mused. It makes me wonder what other possibilities exist that we have not yet discovered. The first formal meeting with the Merchant Consortium went better than anyone had hoped. The alien traders were genuinely peaceful and offered technologies that could benefit both humans and Zephyrians. In exchange, they wanted access to human manufacturing techniques and Zephyrian artistic designs. Your alliance interests us greatly, Trade Coordinator Zealnoth explained through the improved translators. Most species we encounter are either aggressively territorial or completely isolationist. The idea of different civilizations working together as equals is rare. We learned that cooperation makes us stronger than we could be alone, Jake replied. Perhaps you would be interested in joining the Galactic Trade Network, the alien suggested. It is a loose association of peaceful civilizations that share resources and knowledge. Jake looked at Luna, seeing the same excitement in her silver eyes that he felt. The galaxy was opening up to them in ways they had never imagined. We would be very interested in learning more, Luna said carefully, but we would need to understand the obligations and benefits involved. As the meeting continued, Jake realized that their childhood promise had grown into something neither of them could have predicted. What had started as two children agreeing to remember each other had become the foundation for humanity's entry into a larger galactic community. When the formal sessions ended, Jake and Luna walked together through the station's new cultural district, where human and Zephyrian art was displayed side by side. Children from both species ran through the corridors, playing games that mixed traditions from two worlds. "Do you think we are ready for this?" Luna asked, watching a group of young humans and Zephyrians working together on a science project. "I think we are as ready as we can be," Jake replied. "And if we make mistakes, we will learn from them together." Luna smiled and took his hand, the same gesture of friendship they had shared under an oak tree 23 years ago. "Then let us take the next step into the galaxy, my friend. Let us see what promises the stars hold for us now." 3 weeks after first contact with the Merchant Consortium, Jake found himself aboard a massive alien space station, unlike anything humans or Zephyrians had ever seen. The Nexus Point was a neutral meeting place where dozens of different alien species gathered to conduct business and share information. "Stay close to me," advised Trade Coordinator Zealnoth, as they walked through corridors filled with beings that looked like they came from different planets entirely. Some species here are less welcoming to newcomers than others. Jake nodded, trying not to stare at the incredible variety of alien life around them. There were tall, thin creatures that seemed to be made of living crystal, short, furry beings, with 6 arms and floating jellyfish-like entities that communicated through color changes. Luna walked beside him, her silver eyes wide with wonder, but her diplomatic training keeping her expression calm. "How many species belong to the Galactic Trade Network?" Luna asked their guide. "Currently, 47 civilizations participate regularly," Zealnoth replied. "But membership is not formal. Species come and go as their interests change. The only requirement is peaceful intent and something valuable to trade." They entered a vast central chamber where representatives from different worlds were conducting business. The noise was incredible, dozens of different languages being spoken at once, along with sounds that no human throat could make. Universal. Translators worked overtime to make sense of the chaos. "There," Zealnoth pointed to a raised platform in the center of the chamber. "The Council of Voices is in session. They will hear your request to join the trade network." Jake felt nervous as they approached the platform. This was humanity's first chance to prove themselves to a galactic community, and the stakes were higher than anyone back home realized. If they failed here, humans and Zephyrians might find themselves isolated in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations. The Council of Voices consisted of 12 beings from different species, each representing a major faction within the trade network. At the center sat what appeared to be a living tree with eyes, its bark-like skin shifting patterns as it spoke. "Greetings, representatives of the Human-Zephyrian Alliance," the tree being said in a voice like wind through leaves. "I am Speaker Grondal. We have heard interesting reports about your recent cooperation against the Devourer threat." "Thank you for seeing us," Luna replied with a formal bow. "We come seeking mutual benefits through trade and knowledge sharing." "Yes, yes," said another council member, a creature that looked like it was made of flowing water. "But first, we must determine what you bring to our community. Many young alliances promise much, but deliver little." Jake stepped forward. "Honorable council members, we offer the combined strengths of two very different civilizations, human adaptability and innovation, paired with Zephyrian wisdom and advanced technology." "Words are easy," chittered an insect-like being with multiple heads. "We require demonstration. Too many species claim to be cooperative until they gain power, then become aggressive and territorial." Speaker Grondal's bark patterns shifted to Aadabi. What Xylnoth had taught them was a sign of serious consideration. "There is indeed a way for you to prove your worth to the network. We have a problem that has puzzled our best minds for years." "What kind of problem?" Luna asked. "The Sigma colony crisis," replied the water being with what sounded like regret. "One of our most productive agricultural worlds has been suffering from a plague that destroys crops and poisons soil. We have sent our finest scientists, but nothing has worked. The colonists face starvation within months." The insect being's multiple heads nodded in agreement. "If your alliance can solve what we cannot, it would prove your value to the network. But if you fail, we will know that you are not ready for galactic responsibilities." Jake felt the weight of expectation settling on his shoulders. "What exactly is this plague? Have other species tried to help?" 3 different civilizations have attempted solutions, Speaker Grondal explained. The Zarkari used advanced biotechnology. The Melthari tried chemical treatments. The Vornash applied quantum agriculture techniques. All failed. The plague seems to adapt to whatever treatment is applied, added the water being. It learns and evolves faster than we can develop countermeasures. Luna exchanged a meaningful look with Jake. The description reminded them both of something they had faced before. "This plague," Luna said carefully, "does it consume the treatments applied to it? Does it seem to grow stronger when exposed to advanced technology?" The council members looked surprised by her questions. "How could you know this?" asked the insect being. "Because we have fought something similar," Jake replied. "The Devourers that we defeated had the same characteristics. They learned from every encounter and consumed technology to grow stronger." Speaker Grondal's bark patterns shifted rapidly, which Xylnoth had explained meant intense interest. "You believe this plague is connected to the Devourer threat?" "It is possible," Luna said. "Or it might be something that works on similar principles. If we are correct, then previous attempts to fight it with advanced technology might have made the problem worse." "Then how would you propose to solve it?" the water being asked skeptically. Jake thought about everything he had learned during the Devourer War. Sometimes the most advanced solution is not the best solution. Sometimes you need to think differently. The council debated among themselves in languages the universal translators could not handle. Finally, Speaker Grondal turned back to them. "Very well. We will give your alliance one chance to save Sigma Colony. You have 30 days. If you succeed, you will be welcomed into the Galactic Trade Network with full privileges. If you fail, the colonists will die, and your peoples will be considered too inexperienced for galactic cooperation. 2 days later, Jake stood on the surface of Sigma Colony, looking at fields of dead crops that stretched to the horizon. The air smelled wrong, with a chemical tang that made his nose burn. Beside him, Dr. Alex Turner was taking soil samples while Luna consulted with the colony's desperate administrators. "The plague started 6 months ago," explained colony manager Felnara, a member of the crystalline Zarkari species. "At first, it affected only one type of grain. Then it spread to other crops. Now it consumes everything we plant." Dr. Turner looked up from his analysis equipment. "Jake, you need to see this. The plague organisms are not natural. They show signs of artificial enhancement." "Enhanced how?" Luna asked, joining their conversation. "They have been modified to break down complex molecular structures and convert them into simpler forms," Dr. Turner explained. "But the modifications are crude, like someone was trying to copy devourer biology without really understanding it." Jake felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. "Luna, what if this is not just similar to the devourers? What if it is connected to them?" "You mean someone was experimenting with devourer technology? Or someone was trying to create their own version of it?" Jake said grimly. Over the following days, their investigation revealed the truth. The plague had been created by a rogue scientist from the Vornash civilization who had obtained samples of devourer organisms after the war. He had tried to modify them to create a beneficial agricultural tool, but the experiment had gone wrong. The scientist thought he could control devourer biology, Luna explained to the Council of Voices during an emergency meeting. But he underestimated how adaptive and dangerous it is. "Where is this scientist now?" demanded Speaker Grandal. "Dead," Jake replied. "The plague consumed him when he tried to shut down his experiment. But we have found his hidden laboratory and discovered how to stop what he created. The solution was both simple and complex. Instead of fighting the plague with advanced technology that it could learn from and adapt to, Jake's team used basic human farming techniques combined with Zephyrian biological knowledge. They introduced beneficial bacteria that competed with the plague organisms for resources while simultaneously using crop rotation methods that denied the plague the nutrients it needed to survive. "You are essentially starving it to death," observed Dr. Turner, as they watched the plague organisms die off in the treated fields. "Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways," Jake replied. "Humans learned that lesson during our own agricultural development. The cleanup took 2 weeks, but it worked. The plague disappeared from the treated areas, and new crops began to grow in soil that had been considered dead. The colonists would survive, and their world would be productive again. When they returned to the Nexus Point, the Council of Voices was waiting with what appeared to be the equivalent of smiles on their various alien faces. "Your alliance has passed the test," Speaker Grandal announced. "You have demonstrated the ability to solve problems that defeated more advanced civilizations. You think differently, and that difference has value. Welcome to the Galactic Trade Network," added the water being. "Your species will bring new perspectives that we clearly need." As they walked through the station afterward, Luna took Jake's arm. "Do you realize what we have accomplished? Humanity and the Zephyrian Empire are now part of a community that spans the galaxy. It started with 2 children making a promise under a tree," Jake replied, still amazed by how far they had come. now that promise has opened the stars to both our peoples. And this is just the beginning, Luna said, looking